All right, Tenkara for people who've never done Tenkara. A lot of people have opinions about Tenkara. Never done it. I'm here to clear that up. Look, here's my fly. It's actually just a little piece of chenille because I'm yard casting, right? Here's some tippet. It's 5X tippet, right? I use about 3-4 feet of that. On this, for the purposes of this, hopefully it's visible in the casting. This is a furled line, right? It's just a, but it's not a leader. There is no leader per se in Tenkara. You have the line, you have the tippet. The line may have a taper, it may not. This is what I typically use. It'll just be impossible to see. This is size 3 point, Japanese size 3.5 Tenkara line. It is a high visibility fluorocarbon line. It's about 14-pound test, and I simply tie my tippet directly to that via a tippet ring, right? So I'm casting light flies. I'm not casting big flies with this. I'm not casting heavily weighted flies. You can cast a beadhead nymph, but it has to be pretty small. Or else it does turn into Euro nymphing, where you're kind of lobbing it around. But what the first thing to notice is the difference in action of this. Everybody goes, well, that's cane pole fishing, that's crappie pole fishing. No, it's not. A crappie pole does not flex like this, right? It is very, very stiff, and the reason for that is that it's meant to just dunk a bobbard straight down, lift it straight back up with a fish attached, so it can't bend like that, right? A Tenkara rod is meant to take a fairly light line. This is much lighter than even like a size 2 or 3 PVC fly line. And what I want to do is actually cast that. Do a fly cast with this. Now the motion's a little shorter and sharper than it is for a regular fly rod and reel combo cast, but the motion is essentially the same. You're coming back, forward, stop. Back, forward, stop. See, it extends out, and I need to stop a little bit lower. It's a little windier out here, so it's drifting it, so when that's the case, you kind of got to stop a little lower. But what the whole point of this is not distance at all. It's control. So I can put that fly out there. I can keep the line off the water. The rod's really long. The line is really light. I can keep the line off the water. That way I can either do a really good dead drift, dead drag-free drift, or I can subtly fiddle with the fly in a way that you just can't with PVC fly line that's laying on the water. It's really hard to do these very, very subtle little twitches and stuff that you can do with a Tenkara rod. As you can see, this is a cast. I don't take quite as tight a loop as some casters do, but I would just go up here in the air like this. You can see that it's loading the rod, right? Enough mass to that line that it loads the rod. And yeah, it's really thin at the tip. Do you think it's going to break? But trust me, I've caught some pretty big fish on this. Would I want to routinely go out after like 24-inch browns with this? No, but I've caught bass to several pounds with it, and I've caught 18-inch trout with it, and had no problem landing them. You just have to learn how to play a fish without a reel, and it's an art, but it's doable. So there you go. That's Tenkara casting in a nutshell. It's not dapping. That's just going like this, right? And not say you can't do that with this. You would probably want a shorter line, but it's not going to be really good because it's so bendy, right? If I go to lift a fish straight up like that, it's just going to bend over. And it's not the Euro nymphing cast, which I've done too, which is where you just let it go downstream and it's kind of hanging in the current. You've got some fairly heavy flies on there, and you just kind of water load it and flick it forward like that, right? That's Euro nymphing casting, right? Downstream, got water loaded, flick it forward, right? This doesn't actually work very well. If you put too heavy a fly on this, it really overpowers it and it does not catch very well. So works good with dry flies that aren't too big and bushy, nymphs that aren't super heavy, so don't be putting like a size 8 tungsten head stonefly net on this. And it's best suited for, you know, soft hackles and other wet flies, and in relatively shallow water and relatively small streams. And that's it. That's what it's good for. It doesn't replace fly fishing. It's just another way to do fly fishing. It's a lot of fun. It's a good way to get kids into it because they don't have to mess with all this line management down here in the reel. And then you can give them a regular fly rod, but give them one of these and turn them loose on some bluegills and they'll go crazy. Then turn them loose and they'll catch their first trout. And my wife could never catch a trout until I put a Tenkara rod in her hand, and now she can catch trout, you know. And she just was utterly like put off by fly fishing until I put a Tenkara rod in her hand. And the simplicity of it allowed her to get past kind of her mental block of it, and now she catches trout on the regular and doesn't want to learn how to use a regular fly rod because she doesn't need to. She catches plenty of fish as it is with the Tenkara rod. So, and I fish everything from Tenkara to spey rods, so it's not like I'm just in one camp or the other, but I do get tired of people talking about Tenkara that really don't know what they're talking about when they talk about Tenkara.